June the 21st at 5 p.m. and we'll call this City Council meeting to order. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Tyler.
Here.
Don. Jody.
Here.
Harley.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum tonight. Thank you everyone for coming. Would entertain then a motion to approve the agenda, and we do have a couple of amendments. Agenda item number 21, we just need to delete that tonight. And agenda item number 25 will simply be an update rather than approving a change order. That'll just be an update on the Main Street project, reconstruction project. So, okay.
Move to approve amended agenda.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler.
Yes.
Jody.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, number 6, or 5, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Across the mayor's desk. Just want to take this opportunity to thank Kendall Pals for his leadership and everything that he's done for the city and the department while he's been chief, and actually while he was just a police officer as well. So we certainly appreciate everything that he's done, and we wish him well in his future years as simply being a citizen. So I'll call on Barb to discuss the call vault.
We finally got the estimate of what it's going to cost to restore just the exterior portion of the call vault. You can see on the flyer it's $115,500. That will be tearing the 2 retaining walls out, putting in a drainage system, restoring the retaining walls to the historic nature they are currently at. They'll be using some of the existing block. Some of it will have to be new block, but they feel they can make it look like the existing block. We are starting a fundraiser to do this, so the city's not going to foot the whole bill. Currently we've got $11,880 for FEMA funds that we're asking for another extension to fix this wall. We're trying to do a fundraiser to raise the funds for the rest of it. We're kind of kicking it off during Founders Day or the Thursday night before Founders Day. During Voices of the Past, we'll have the call vault open where people can see inside. They won't be able to get inside, but they'll be able to see inside, and we'll be handing out the flyers and such.
Okay. Now, are those donations tax deductible? Did I hear some discussion there? And
Yes.
set up to...
I've talked to Deb. We'll set up a separate fund, so the money that comes in for, I think it says restore the call vault. So the money that comes in there will be put in a separate fund, and the expenses for restoring the call vault will come out of that fund. So we'll have a 100% accounting for the in and out of the money.
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. And then tonight also I'd like to thank Kylie Scow. She's our videographer tonight. So does any council person have anything they'd like to share tonight? Okay, hearing none, we'll move then to agenda item number 6, an update from Jacob, City Administrator.
Just want to remind everyone of an upcoming open house design meeting for the redevelopment of Skate Central and Central Park in general. So we're having that this Thursday, June 24th at 5:30, beginning at 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we'll have design team members from Bolton and Mink as well as Spawn Ranch skate parks there to have some examples of ideas, an opportunity for people to express what they like, what they don't like, other ideas they have, what type of concept and layout. So we're hoping to get some good turnout and input from the community on that. So again, that's this Thursday, June 24th, begin at 5:30 at Central Park. If it's poor weather, the meeting will be moved here to City Hall.
Okay. Thank you. Move to agenda item number 7. This is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone present who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone on the phone?
No, one's indicating they're trying to speak.
Okay. Okay, with that, then we'll move to number 8, the consent agenda, and that includes approving the minutes from the June 7th council meeting, approving the bills to be paid this cycle, approve the department reports, as well as the minutes from the various boards and commissions that have met, and approve Jacob's administrator's report.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. We'll move then to agenda item number 9, which is a public hearing, and it's 5:09. We'll go ahead and open that public hearing regarding a zoning amendment.
This is a public hearing on the proposed zoning amendment request by Kemet Properties LLC to rezone 5 properties. They're outlined in red along US Highway 18 from light manufacturing to Highway Service Business District. This was referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission at the last council meeting. The commission met on the 14th and recommends approving the rezoning. We have not received any comments here at City Hall regarding the public hearing notice.
Okay? It's 5:10, and I'll go ahead and close that public hearing for agenda item number 9. And it's, oh, are we good? Okay. It's 5:10, and we'll go ahead and we'll open the public hearing then, agenda item number 10, regarding housing grant application.
Uh,
yeah.
Myrtle Nelson with NIACOG is here, and she's going to address the council about the CDBG application.
Good evening. Thanks for having me over. NIACOG was hired by the city in order to prepare an application to rehabilitate 6 homes in the community. And I'm happy to say I was in a monitoring visit actually a couple hours ago with some of the cities, with a state representative, and they haven't received any applications yet. This is first come, first served, so that's a big deal. So happy to be able to report that bit of information. What I want to go over is very specific, and I already gave the city staff this listing, but these things are important to go over because they are required by the grants application. So the first item is how the need for the activities were identified, and the needs for housing rehabilitation was identified by city staff in response to observed housing condition issues in the city. Second item is how the proposed activities will be funded and the source of funds. So the proposed activities will be funded by a federally funded program called the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. The Iowa Economic Development Authority coordinates these funds for the state of Iowa and makes them available to cities through their Housing Rehabilitation Exterior House Improvements Program. Boy, that name needs to be longer, right? The date the CDBG application will be submitted, we're targeting June 29th. That's Tuesday of next week. Usually, she was telling me earlier, they try to do 2 weeks, but Barb is really a slave driver, and she's really wanting us to get this in, and with good reason, that getting $250,000 to improve housing in the city is a reason to get excited and get things done, so we'll try to do that. The requested amount of funding is $249,794. And 20,000 of that is for administration, and the rest, the balance, that is $229,794, is for exterior home improvement work, lead hazard reduction. Primarily, lead hazard reduction is like chipping and peeling paint, or it could be windows or things like that that involve some kind of older paints and surfaces. And then also radon mitigation. 6 homes are budgeted for rehabilitation and can be located anywhere in the city that's not in a floodplain. Applications have been received. Didn't used to be the case, but right now we are required to have the applications from the homeowners who want to participate in advance of the application being submitted by the city into the state. So we do have applications in hand, and boy, did they come in quickly. I think now we can fund 6. I think now we have over 30. So I think that's a good indicator that your time is well spent here. Okay, so, and we are selecting them on a first come, first served basis for applications that are both eligible and are fully completed. In other words, we found in the last round, the state just started doing first come, first serve, and we found in the last round that if we did first come, first serve, we'd get a lot of applications in a hurry, but not very many of them were complete. So in the end, it took us longer for some of those. So this time we went with completed applications. And I'm happy to say that we have 10 actually that are completed, and we went through the process of making sure that they were eligible, so that we're ready to go and hit the ground running. And between the time when the application goes in and when the projects move forward, there's some time there, so some situations can change. Sometimes somebody moves in and changes their income and other things. So anyway, we did 10 just to make sure we were ready to go. Okay, so the next item is the estimated portion of federal funds that will benefit low and moderate income persons. So the answer to that is 100%. In other words, all of the funding received will be used to benefit low and moderate income persons with incomes below 80% of county median income. For example, and it's based on household size, but for example, a household of 2 people must have an income less than $46,000, and obviously varies by how many people are in that household. Where the proposed activities will be conducted is homes within the city limits of the city of Algona. Those are the eligible ones, except that those located within a 100-year floodplain are not eligible. Just 3 more things to go, I promise. The next one is plans to minimize displacement of persons and businesses resulting of funded activities, and the answer to that is that no persons will be permanently displaced as a result of this program. The next one is plans to assist persons actually displaced, and again, no persons will be permanently displaced as a result of this program. In the unlikely event that someone is temporarily displaced, if we get into their house, there's a whole lot of chipping and peeling paint, and we need to have them temporarily locate elsewhere while that, to avoid that lead dust getting in contact with them through the air. We'll make accommodations for that. In other words, they can relocate somewhere temporarily, and that relocation is funded by the application, by the grant funding. The nature of the proposed activities is that they will include exterior rehabilitation of owner-occupied homes with work on items such as roofing, windows, siding, doors, gutters, and steps. So everything on the outside. The work may also include remediation of lead hazards in the home. Typically, again, that's chipping and peeling paint. And then the other item that we can fund is radon remediation. So that is all I needed to cover.
Okay.
Unless you have questions.
Myrtle, do you know when the state's going to be awarding these grants?
I would think that they'll do that as they get them in. So they'll go ahead and start processing them right away. My guess is that we'll have an answer like in a month and a half, I would guess. I'm guessing, but that's an estimate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Jacob, we haven't heard anything from the public on this or anything? Or
Nope,
no?
we have not received any comments.
Okay. It's 5:17, then I'll go ahead and I'll close that public hearing for agenda item number 10. That moves us to agenda item number 11, and it's 5:18, and I'll open that public hearing regarding housing needs assessment.
Well,
Back.
I apologize in advance. I have another list. Do they have this list already? The community development and housing needs assessment. As part of the grant, oh great, thank you, Jacob. As part of the grant application, one of the requirements of things to include in it is the Community Development and Housing Needs Assessment. Boy, they need shorter names for these things. But anyway, so it's composed of three different sections. The first one talks about community development and housing needs that are specifically for low and moderate income people, so the people who don't have quite as much money in their household. The next section talks about just needs in general, and then the third section talks about plans or activities or priorities and how to address those. And I do need to go through these, and as we go, this can very much be a conversation. I drafted this, Barb helped me with some input to kind of mold it to Algona, but whatever you would like to change, this is an open-ended document, and I should say that it isn't, there'll be no policing of this. Like, they won't come around and say, hey, you didn't do number 2, and that's one of your priorities. So whatever you want to do with it is fine. Okay, so the needs of low and moderate income persons relative to community development and housing needs. So there are 4 of those that we listed. The first one is providing assistance to low-income families in owning and maintaining safe, decent, affordable housing, which would include the promotion of the housing rehabilitation program. Go figure, the highest priority first item here is what we're applying for. It's almost like we planned it, huh? Number 2 is overcoming the lack of affordable housing in the $100,000 to $160,000 range. The next one, number 3, is limited workforce housing available. And number 4 is opportunities for advancement for the underemployed. So if you have comments, please just interrupt me, otherwise I'll keep going so I don't take a whole night here. Okay, other community development and housing needs in Algona. The first one, continued revitalization of the downtown business district. The second one is limited new businesses in the field of technology, in other words, software and things like that. Number 3, limited single-family home construction. Number 4, limited market rate rental housing. Okay, I'm not seeing any. You gotta change that. Okay, so the next section again is the planned or potential activities to address the needs that we just talked about. Number 1 and a high priority is continue to apply to the Iowa Economic Development Authority Housing Fund for housing rehabilitation funds, which is exactly what we're doing with this grant application we're talking about. A medium priority, we have informed developers about funding available to assist with the cost of housing development. So informing those developers of CDBG has an upper story program that works in downtowns. In fact, Jacob and I think, talked about that, didn't we, Jacob? And then workforce housing tax credits, historic tax credits, and enterprise zone benefits that could be used. Number 3, as a high priority, is continue to promote housing improvement and development incentives offered by the city, such as the current tax abatement program, revolving loan fund for down payment assistance, revolving loan fund for home rehab assistance, and residential development assistance programs, which will serve as additional incentives for homeowners who wish to make property improvements and to encourage housing growth. Number 4, as a high priority, is continue to enhance industrial development activities in the community and in turn create additional jobs in the community to maintain or increase income levels as part of the community's economic development efforts. Number 5 is continue efforts to revitalize the downtown business district through ongoing support and enhancement programs in place. My favorite, by the way, is the coffee mill. Create a downtown revitalization district, establish downtown design guidelines, and apply for a facade grant. I also really like the chiropractor over here, Shane Tate. We drive an hour one way to come see you. But anyway, okay, medium priority. Continue to work with and support Kossuth County Economic Development and Housing Group in their housing, community development, and economic development efforts. And then finally, as number 7, a high priority, continue to establish a rental housing program. Okay. Any changes?
Under number 2, the first section,
Yeah.
I guess if we're trying to focus on people of a lower to median
Yeah.
household income, $100,000 seems high to me.
Yeah.
I mean, based off of what we were just talking about in the other agenda item. I don't know, just
Let me
seems
give you
high
just
to start out
A
there.
little bit of explanation there. When we talk about low and moderate income, we think of low income as somebody living on food stamps, right? This is somebody who's less than 80% of median, so like for even a one-person household, it's about $40,000. And we found, when was that? Back in about 2010, we were doing projects, and we found that there was quite a few people at 80% of median who could still afford to purchase a new home. So 100,000 really is on the, you can't get a home for a lot less than that, it seems like.
Right. No, it's
Somebody on the
coming in.
But anyway,
Yeah.
but having given you just that explanation of background of where we're at with what moderate income means, that's like tellers and teachers and people like that. I mean, if you want to change that, I'd be happy to. Do you have a change, like you want to change it to 80,000 or?
I would suggest 80, 85,
Okay.
just myself. I think we're trying to say that, even if you don't make, 80% of the median, you should be able to find affordable, good housing,
Yeah.
not even starting at 100,000. And we have plenty of housing around here that could be refurbished, I would think, under 100 for those people, but that's just my opinion,
Good call.
yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Can we go ahead?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? Yep. Thank you.
We have not
Thanks.
received any comments at City Hall regarding the public hearing notice on the housing needs assessment.
Okay. It's 5:25, and we'll go ahead and we'll close the public hearing regarding the housing needs assessment, agenda item number 11. So that moves us to number 12, and this is a request involving an outdoor service area for Founder's Day.
Just a quick note on item number 11. This grant is federal money, and so it comes with federal strings, and you're literally required to read those things into the
Sure.
record. So that's
Okay.
why we withdraw that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Did I mess it up now?
No, but
Okay.
at the last council meeting, we had approved kind of generally an outdoor area for Founder's Day. We reached out to the state alcohol regulators for further clarification on liquor license premises, where those can and cannot be abutting, crossing. Our conclusion was that we can't set up a system where it's designed where we're having liquor cross from one licensed premise into the other licensed premise for the liquor. Beer and wine is at the owner's discretion if they want to allow that or not. So what staff is recommending in terms of updating is allowing beer and wine on the streets that are closed. That's allowed, per state law, you can do that. Like Friday night when the car show is going on, this is the proposed street closures. They're outlined in orange. The liquor itself, that would be confined to, the existing premise or a delineated area in front of the establishment. That liquor could be served and drank and kept within there. If they want to step out of that area, they could, though, with beer or wine. Then once the car show and the DJ portion is over that Friday night, those streets will open back up for the rest of the night. And so then reducing that area to just that one block of State Street. And then on Saturday, more or less the same thing as earlier Friday evening, where if it's closed, beer and wine's permitted, and then the same for the liquor in front of the establishments. I was not at the last Founder's Day committee, so I'm not sure if anyone who's there wants to elaborate on that, or that's kind of, I guess, where we're at in terms of with this change and how we can set this up, see how it goes this year, and then if there's additional improvements we can make for future Founder's Days. So.
Okay. I think we have someone at the podium who would like to speak. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself for the folks at home there?
I'm Billy Joe's. Been working on this project from the beginning and trying to figure out an amicable way for everybody to participate, both licensees, and we keep running into the crossing the license issue in the area. It was my understanding that the local authority has the right to interpret that however they want to. There's a section of the code for licensed premise for local events, section 123.32. You guys familiar with that?
Yeah, hold it up.
I mean, if that does not apply to this situation,
Well, I believe, that recommendation, was pointed out here, late last week. And if that's something that, in the future we'd want to explore as doing a license like that, that's not been the method we've been discussing. And so I guess, kind of at that point, it's, without having really much time to vet that, we could stick with the option that we have in terms of still allowing beer and wine. And then that could be one that we look at in the future if it was the will of the council to allow, liquor license to expand, several blocks.
is the license being extended, or are you just allowing drinking in public on State Street?
So the liquor license, the expansion of that is tied to the premise. So that, that'll be an expansion of the premise.
Correct.
Beer and wine can be consumed on closed streets. And so that's where what's proposed right now would be allowed.
So anytime State Street's closed, you can drink beer outside on it?
Well, what we're proposing for council to approve tonight is with the closed street. Technically, under Iowa law, you can have open containers of beer and wine on sidewalks at any time. It's illegal to drink them. But since we're closing the street, that's what allows for the consumption of beer and wine.
And the problem that resolved the initial diagram that we submitted was there'd be no way to determine the people crossing the premise was the issue, and bringing liquor on and off premise as cited by the code.
That was one of them, as well as PEPs being subject to the 19 ordinance of if it's going to be all ages, how is that enforced if there's a magic line that 19-year-olds aren't supposed to cross, or 18-year-olds?
That's just a city ordinance, right?
Correct.
So local authority could overturn that and rule in his favor on that?
If they wanted to change the law, they could do so.
Okay. I mean, even if it was just for one day. I'm not speaking on that, I'm not sure what he wants.
I need to answer that. That one though is, it goes by your percent of sales. And no one knows what our percent of sales is unless we were to submit that. But if we would have to submit that, we would ask that everybody that's in our business to submit their percent of sales.
So the way the ordinance is written is
50%.
yeah, and then you can, at any time, request that be reevaluated by providing your financial information and taxes. And then, just pull it up so I don't.
But then why would it be just on one business and not everybody? You're making an assumption. It's kind of like, this is just throwing extra into this. We have submitted our license extension for that day as the Founder's Day to the Iowa ABG already, and I think we might have a graph or a picture of it already.
Yeah, there's one attached to the agenda. They haven't uploaded it to us yet, Doug, but I have it right here.
We want, and the benefit of moving things along, in our opinion, is we would just like to extend our outside service, hard liquor, to the middle of the street in front of us, from Dodge Street, the corner there, to the alleyway at the end of the building. That would be the paint store. And that's, if things change in between that couple weeks, that you decide to change your mind, but we don't have a lot of time. We have to find help. And if we don't get going, I'm not gonna be interested.
And Doug came in and talked to me, was it Wednesday, Thursday last week? And we kind of worked this out. He's not asking for hard liquor to be up and down all 3 blocks. He's stating he'll move his liquor license out to that area for the hard liquor, but then yet the beer and wine will be allowed throughout the closed streets.
And then in that area, is that have to be fenced in then and monitored?
It's not going to be
or no?
fenced.
No.
We talk about putting some podiums up or something that says no hard liquor beyond this point. So, you know, you're not fenced in, but you know if you go over here, you're going to be in violation.
I would like to see if the whole street was open for the entirety of the license, just to create less confusion. I guess that's the only reason that I think that it would be a benefit to do it to the entire street of where there's activities involved. Just so that public perception, you're not having to essentially enforce your area. We're both short-staffed, and it's no secret anywhere, everybody's short-staffed, and it's gonna make more work for the police officers to enforce. It's gonna make more work for us to try to contain people that don't understand or don't care. Well, I thought it would be simpler if we had the whole area encompassed on one license or a license, or a licensed premise, that it would make people's decisions easier, and there would be less reason for violations or.
So that whole block, the one block you're saying?
Well, I'd like to see the entire area of activities.
Oh, I see, okay.
I mean, I'm not opposed to any part of it, but just for the idea that there's activities down the street Friday, that the licensed premise be defined as that entire area, so that everybody can participate, whether it be me and Doug, or Perky Parrott, or anybody. I guess those are the only 3 that have Class C license.
My opinion is whatever you guys decide, we'll work with it, but otherwise, I'm done.
Yeah, I see that.
So Friday night though, when the band's done, you want it to come back to just the blocks where the 2 bars are?
Well, the closed streets will change. So the band will be set up here.
That won't be closed anymore, so.
Yeah. So I'm not sure.
Saturday on Dodge Street, you
Yeah.
had the barbecue showdown and all that stuff. That was why we went down just Dodge. It is Dodge.
Sure, no, I understood that, but I just wonder if you're going, and I realized that another bar, you know, the Axe House isn't here, but if somebody's out in the street then at 11 o'clock still, or whenever that ends, how are you gonna, I don't know, do you close it or you just close it at the end of the event that evening? But I guess, I don't know.
I would like
I
to see
just-
the license extension through the street, or through the areas that there's events.
So for the car show, that will start at Harlan Street. You know, so then in that case, you'd be, having basically the entire area outlined in orange. The original proposal had it stopping here, which also provided a complication of, okay, liquor would be provided here, but if you're walking and wanting to go to this part of the car show, then only beer and wine would be permitted because it'd be outside of the premise. And then we've got the Axe House down in this block.
It's never been anybody's intention to go off of our
Closed
sidewalk
streets.
with sales. I mean, it's to free up the area for people to walk and leisurely enjoy their beverages.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer when we keep referring to beer and wine, because it actually includes, isn't basically all canned or bottled
Right.
beverages. So like your Mike's Hard Lemonade, your, different, if
Your
you want a
seltzers.
margarita, it's got to
Anything
come
other
in a
than-
bottle.
Anything that other than alcoholic liquor, I think, is how
Yeah.
Sold by the shop.
code is defined.
Sold
Yeah.
by the shop.
Yeah, so I guess that's where I don't see it as being that hard to discriminate between the two. I would say if you want for mixed drinks in a glass, the public could understand fairly easy that those either have to be consumed in the bar or in a smaller roped off area on the outside. Anything beyond that would have to be in a can or bottle. It'd be, it's a pretty easy visual way to differentiate between where you can drink what. I would like it if we could open it all up, but I guess I just don't see how the law is written right now to allow that, because yes, people will travel from one premises into the other one, and that's technically against the law, and we're not the ones that make that law, so we can't do anything but, I guess, make it so we can function with it.
I don't have that email response that, Chief Powell sent out, but I thought that interpretation was from the State Department of Alcohol and Beverage. They pretty clearly stated that you wouldn't be able to do that. And I mean, it really comes down to the state law. I think based on our vote last week, I think we're all supporting what you want to do, and we think that makes sense, but unless the state law allows us to do that, I don't think that.
It does though. I mean, right here in this section that he quoted, we have licensed premise for local events where we can create our own premise and let anybody use their liquor license class all the way through D. So it has C and D written in the law. Licensed premise for local events, local authority may define by motion of local authority licensed premises which shall be used by holders of liquor control license, beer permits, or wine permits at festivals, fairs, or celebrations which are sponsored by the local authority. So that's saying we can make the premise, and it doesn't even have to be in conjunction to their buildings. It could be out on the east side of town, and we could say this, and we could say, hey, you can use your liquor license here. So, we do have that authority.
If it's agreed upon, we have that authority to do that.
Yeah.
I know Jacob was hung, there's a plural in there somewhere that there was a hang up on, and I don't speak legalese that well.
Part of the problem with what you're reading there is, I finally had to look up the word premises.
Yeah, like I said, there's some
Because
plural.
premise is
Yeah.
a different word entirely.
Exactly.
Premises is both singular and plural.
Yeah.
That word premises is both.
Yeah.
So the way it's written there, you don't know if it's intended as singular or plural.
Yeah.
When you're reading it, and one way would make it okay, the other way would not.
Exactly, yeah,
So-
like I said, there were some plurals there.
It's
that was
however-
yeah.
I mean, do we approve it on the way we want it to be determined, or do we go the cautious way? I don't know.
This is the way I interpret that, and it comes from, like, when you have wine festivals or wine tasting festivals, the city can declare a premise for those people to bring their wine in for the wine tasting. The city is declaring a premise, and these people can come in and bring their beverages for wine tasting and sell.
Then you wouldn't need the Class C liquor license.
Yeah, tasting
For
doesn't
the-
require a license.
Right.
You're allowing other people to do that. That's that's the liquor license statute, and there's what.
So I know I'm kind of throwing a little bit of an unknown out there. And I can play ball. I can I brought a sketch of a proposed, roped off area for my liquor area also. But I thought that in the best interest of the community, that it would be extended down through all the events. That way it would be included under an insurance blossom if something were to happen, and it's not city liability also. Whereas you just have people drinking on a public street otherwise, and it may encourage people to bring their own beverages.
Yeah, because right now, if we just if we just open the street up, what's to say that you can't walk in with a cooler at the barbecue and drink your own liquor? Or not your own liquor, your own beer, your own wine?
And at that point, then I have no reason or no interest to be outside. So I guess I'm kind of trying to protect my asset too. Because if we don't have a defined liquor license premise, then it's just anything goes.
Yeah, like I said, I think it does allow us, and I just don't see whether it's liquor, beer, or wine, I don't think it changes the celebration. It just gives people their options to enjoy the evening. I mean, I don't think we have any more issues either way, or hopefully we won't have any. Everybody follows by the rules, but I do like the fact that we could open it up if it legally does, if we're hand-tied because of the state law, but I mean, and I appreciate, Ryan, you've been very cordial and working with, and, just helping inform us what your thoughts are. And we're trying to listen to legal on both sides too.
I've learned that there's a lot of gray areas, there's a lot of interpretation to what this stuff is.
Yep.
And I think it comes down to a lot of interpretation by local authority.
And I've been on Founder's Day committees all past years long enough to know that people want this. I mean, this is what we've heard. And they want to be able to just gather downtown and enjoy the evening with friends and families. And you guys are going to you're going to wristband.
Yes.
Right, wristband and work that way.
But doesn't it make sense? I mean, once the car show's done, like Jacob had up there, start, kind of
Yeah, well, how do you get them there?
Yeah, well, you have to legally.
Kind of like what the
Right.
state patrol does at Rag Rally.
Yeah.
They sweep them, keep them moving, just so then our police department doesn't have to
It's big of an area.
man the whole street.
Downsizing is
street.
less area that I have to walk and be responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could get us down after the car show to just past the intersection of Dodge Street through Saturday, I think we probably would be able to work with that just fine. Because that would encompass the block between Dodge and Thorrington. And is there anything on North Dodge on Saturday? It's just South Dodge.
Yeah, it's just the barbecue on South. Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea of it not going too far past Dodge for Saturday, because the children's thing is in that next block, all the kids' activities, and we don't need a bunch of adults walking around during the kids' activities.
Yeah, with alcohol,
Drinks and beer and.
Yeah.
They do it anywhere else.
So the options, I suppose that council could make a motion under chapter 123.32, in your interpretation of the authorities of state law, and issue trying to find it here.
A licensed premise?
License, yeah, number 3, which would allow, liquor, and then just apply that to as streets are closed, and as streets open back up, then obviously it's not subject to it. Or you can look at the option of just allowing beer and wine with defined liquor areas, as shown in this document. One other item to, I guess, maybe discuss or keep in mind is for Friday night on what the plan is to do with age. Right now, I think as proposed, the plan is to be open to all ages. I know a previous council, which certainly was a different makeup, had decided against that in the past. I just want to make that point clear that what's as proposed would be open to all ages. If you want to put a restriction on in that area, shrinks from 8 to 11, that would be an option.
I certainly would not want to see younger people restricted from participating in the entertainment that we're having that night.
Have we ever done wristbands? Checked them? Check their IDs, put wristbands on them if they.
Right, Brian,
Yeah.
when we had it opened
Yeah.
up, yeah, probably the main thing I remember. Vicky, any other thoughts? Just right, Brian?
They are.
Yeah, the
Okay.
bar,
Yeah,
because
have a wristband
right now,
here that have
what,
alcohol.
I think what
Okay.
they're doing is the chamber's no longer doing the wristbanding, it's on the bars now, because, so they will be, you guys are wristbanding?
Only to people that buy beverages.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So if you're walking around without a colored wristband on with something in your hand, it's somebody else's job.
All right,
Doug, are you
just
guys doing the
curious
same
if you're
thing?
doing it.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks for doing that. I think that will
Yep,
help.
That will help. So, well, that's a long motion. How do we do that? Do we need to type it out?
I guess on the conversation I'm hearing is the, want to look at issuing one license for multiple liquor license holders to use under chapter 123.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it'd be, issuing a local authority permit under chapter 123.32, section 3, and that applying to the closed streets during the event of Founder's Day.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Harley, a second from Jody. Any further discussion?
You don't have to add in, we're moving it, we're just saying whatever's closed. We don't have to add in, moving it down later or anything?
Yeah, do we need to? I mean, you had it laid out
Shrinking
there.
the streets later, do we have to say that, or just anything that's closed, I mean, at the time?
Yeah, as it's closed.
As it's closed,
Because
yeah.
the streets will open back up after.
Yeah, and then
after-
that takes away from going all the way down farther, yeah.
So after 8 PM on Friday, they will be open, the streets will be open until to the Dodge intersection, or to Harlan intersection. Because
Which one's Dodge?
they're gonna have to set up on Dodge.
Dodge.
What time to set up on Dodge? Because don't people roll in Friday night for that or no?
They can, yeah.
So Dodge would have to, South Dodge at least would have to remain closed through Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So then all traffic would be routed north, it was coming down, okay.
Okay,
Okay, got the motion.
We can,
We will.
Granting a local premise permit under Iowa Code Chapter 123.32 subsection 3, which will apply to the closed streets for the Founder's Day event.
we have a motion and a second?
Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler,
Yes.
Jody,
yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody come down,
Okay.
celebration?
So we'll move to agenda item number 13, and this pertains to a nuisance abatement notice.
Yeah, Demir's gonna explain the situation first,
Oh,
and
okay.
then we'll hear from the gentleman.
Okay?
Demir?
Oh,
They're gonna have the beer talk first, Tom.
And then you'll get,
All right, someplace along the line of 6/3/6/4, June 3rd or 4th, I had an anonymous message left on my voicemail that there's tall grass out in this location. I'm sorry, my mind went blank here. But anyway, receiving that tip, I did go out and take a look at it on June 8th, took pictures of it. Average height of this location was about 20 to 22 inches in the right-of-way area. City code is saying that underneath RM3, that average grass height cannot be any higher than 6 to 8, or any higher than 8 inches. I did on 6/9 write the nuisance abatement for the grass height for it to be corrected. On June 11th, I did receive the request for public hearing. since then, I've been out there on the 16th, and it has been corrected at this point in time.
Okay, Tom, you come up in and identify yourself for the camera.
My name's Tom Lips. I'm an attorney here in town. I'm representing my wife, Jane. She's the one who got served with the notices, and she owns the 2 lots next door. I don't know what everyone's looking at. Are they able to see are you able to see what's on the screen behind you?
Yep, it's right there too.
Oh, there we go, right. Okay, if you look at these 2 lots with the X's, that's what we're concerned with. And we actually live on the lot to the west where there's a house. I'm going to give you my authority as to why this isn't a nuisance. One is an article I'm going to just talk about briefly that I saw in the Wall Street Journal called HOA Hell. And I'm just going to kind of, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do is just, I think, you know, this ordinance was written probably with good intentions, but you got some discretion as to how you enforce it. The other thing I'm going to tell you about is a story I heard about the tape measure lady, and I'll conclude with that. But anyway, short of it is, the history on these 2 lots. We moved out there. You know, when the city took this in, there was no sidewalks, no sewage system, kind of limited services, and these lots to the east of our house, the prior owner grew corn on there because he didn't want to mow it. That wasn't a problem for us. And then eventually one year, I think toward the end, it was sweet corn, and we had every raccoon in the country up there. That wasn't a problem either. And eventually there was some construction to the east. Those lots were both kind of a problem, especially the one to the right. It had construction stuff in there, concrete. There was kind of a cliff there. They couldn't mow it. It was just a mess. So what did my wife do? She and a neighbor paid $90,000 for that lot, graded it, landscaped it. I spent a summer out there watering it, getting the grass to grow. I tried to get an abatement on the water bill, which was about $1,000, which didn't go through the sewer. It just kind of goes to the south end. It's a drainage lot. Now, part of it is, the south part of it. I probably should have sent a little bit bigger map, but the south part of that lot with the right one with the X, and then the one to the east with those condos, it's a big drainage area. And, you know, I think by rights, you could probably grow tall grass there, kind of like what you see up at Okoboji, just to kind of filter, you know, all the drainage goes in there. It's kind of a good thing to have, just to keep all the lawn runoff from going into the Des Moines River. But anyway, here's the deal. Those 2 lots, they're about 2 acres. Everybody on the east, I shouldn't say everybody, but as nearly as I can tell, on the east side of the road, most of those people take those vacant lots, let them grow, they bale them for hay. And you want to just turn to that letter I sent to the city council.
Yep.
Okay. Here's the short of it. As recently has been the case, these are about 2 acres of grass there. Anyway, the people to the east usually let it grow and then they bale it in June. But anyway, as I said, as recently has been the case, the customary procedure for these 2 adjacent lots is the grass is usually mowed. Within a couple of weeks after Memorial Day, baled and then removed. The hay is then used for livestock feed as part of the 4-H project. So that's the story. It wasn't just a bunch of weeds there. And it was baled. You know, I got a hold of it was baled, mowed, raked and baled as planned. It was just apparently not quite in time. And so to find this as a nuisance, I think it's unreasonable considering all the work we've done to kind of make this a better place there. And it wasn't harming anybody. Yeah, I mean, if the city would have called me up, I could have went out there and measured it. I would have told you it was over 12 inches or whatever. But, you know, as far as I can tell, there hasn't even really been a complaint. Someone just called in and said, what are the rules on grass mowing? So, you know, part of what we got a problem with this notice is, this is the only notice we're ever going to get according to the notice. And next time somebody goes out there with a ruler and it's over 8 inches, the city can just go in there and mow it. Well, we don't agree with that. So I'm just going to kind of conclude with that Wall Street Journal article and the story about the tape measure lady. You know, the Wall Street Journal had this article about HOA. It's called HOA Hell. And this author said, if you're ever in an HOA, you'll probably never be in one again. And, you know, to go around and measure people's grass is kind of getting down to that level. I think this ordinance was probably designed just to keep people from having a weed patch. And we have covenants that say you got to mow it at least a couple times a year. So I don't think it was a problem to begin with. I mean, if there's a problem next year, like my letter said, I would appreciate just a call and let somebody know. I mean, I could have measured this, I would have told you. It wasn't necessary for anybody to come out there. But I'll conclude with this, you know, this story about the tape measure lady. Yes, but I grew up between Ottawa and Missouri Valley. And I was back there visiting my dad and talking to the folks who lived in our old farmhouse. And he had moved out of a ritzy subdivision in Omaha out there, the Regency. And he said one of the reasons why we moved out of there was because of rules like that were enforced like by the tape measure lady. This gal walked around the neighborhood with a tape measure, measuring grass, and then reported people all the time. And so, you know, I don't think the city council should be acting like an HOA. You know, I don't think they should be sending their people out to, you know, it isn't really necessary to measure lawns unless it's a problem. So I'm going to ask you to move that this wasn't a nuisance, just kind of back this up to where it was and find that. And I mean, if someone says it's a problem, I'd like to hear about it. But all I've heard so far is that the grass exceeded 8 inches or whatever it is. So with that, I'll conclude. And I'll try to answer any questions. Thank you.
Mayor, the RM3 district is residential multifamily 3. Crops are not allowed. The grass height is to be maintained at 8 inches or less. If we allow 2 properties in the city limits to have grass above the 8 inches because they want to bale it, to me that's saying it's a farm crop. Where do we draw the line? You know, there could be a house down the street that's got grass 2 feet tall. Well, I'm going to rake it all up and we're going to give it away to somebody to use for their cattle feed. Where do we draw the line? I think we're on a very slippery slope and we're going to set a precedence if we allow this.
Just a question here. I was just reading, is there a misprint here where it says RM3
I was really
does
confused.
permit, it does not permit farm crop production?
Yeah, these lots are in the city limits. The lots to the east, I believe that he was referring to, are not in the city limits, so we can't enforce anything on those lots on the east side of the road. I think we need to treat all of our residential properties the same.
I agree. I mean, what if we had, you know, an even more severe drought than what we got going on right now, Tom? And some kid or whoever flicked their cigarette out there and started a fire. I mean, it's a really small chance that that would happen. You got those houses all out there. I think those other residents would like to be protected from anything like that happening. And the small chance that that would happen.
And, you know, I guess I could look at it a little differently if this property abutted to farmland, but it abuts up to the country club.
Yeah.
It's residential. It needs to stay at 8 inches or less.
Oh, wait a minute here. The country club's in the country,
Right.
so it's abutting to the country. And
We're
they
not-
mow it. That's their choice. So I don't follow the rationale there. And I guess I'm gonna ask Paul, the city attorney, isn't there an exemption if it's found not to be a nuisance in there in that ordinance? I mean, if the, kind of gives whoever's inspecting it an out.
Well, what are you referring to, Tom? I mean, you know, a nuisance, I mean, under, you know, 812, chapter 812, I mean, you know, the nuisance, you know, they define different nuisances, and weeds and grasses are clearly defined as nuisances. So, you know, for you to say, you know, it's not a nuisance, it's, you know, it is a nuisance under that, and then, you know, for the mowing of the properties that, you know, that you would, I think, referred to in your letter, I mean, you know, it clearly was above the 8 inches. So I think it clearly was a nuisance under our city code.
Well, I'm not disputing that part of it because
Yeah.
that's what's written, but
Right.
the way I read the ordinance, it says, this prohibition shall not apply to prairies, well-headed protection areas, wetlands, farm crops, or other areas of naturalized perennial vegetation. Then it says, which can be verified by the Public Works Director that doesn't constitute a nuisance of health, safety, or fire hazard. So, you know, nothing was done here other than measuring it.
Well, Devere, you got a voicemail. What did the voicemail say? Do you remember?
Just that on Valley View Drive, there's a couple of lots that was not being mowed or maintained.
Okay. They didn't leave a name or
No name, no
anything like that. All right.
And this grass doesn't fall into any of those categories. This is lawn grass. It's not cover crop, it's not anything, it's grass.
Well, wait a minute, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I think you're a little outside your lane here. It's being baled and used for a 4-H project.
So then you're saying,
It's fed to livestock,
so you're saying it's a farm crop?
yeah.
Farm crops are not allowed in residential multifamily areas.
Well, but what about this ordinance? I mean, I'm reading from the abatement notice that you gave me. I'm reading from what was served on my wife.
Well, but Tom, the farm crop was, you know, as Barb said, farm crops are not allowed in residential areas. So you know, it just doesn't apply to your situation. For anybody to say, as somebody brought up here, well, we're gonna let this grass grow and we're gonna put it together, we're gonna call this a farm crop now because, you know, I mean, it's not a farm crop.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to see if you can explain. Do you have the notice in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about the last sentence? It says, this prohibition shall not apply to prairies, well-headed protection areas, wetlands, farm crops.
It's not a farm crop. It's a yard in a residential area.
Oh, well, so
It's
the fact
a yard in a residential area, so it just doesn't apply to that.
Well, I respectfully disagree with it's fed to livestock.
If the claim is that it's a farm crop's not a permitted use, so then it's, you know, violation of the zoning ordinance. You know, agriculture district, we do have districts that, you know, do permit crop production, RM3 is not a district which permits that use.
Well, then why is that mentioned in what was served on us?
That is.
Because if it wasn't an area that allowed farm crops, then you don't want, then people know that the allowed farm crops in the agricultural district is not going to be a violation.
Well, I think it's pretty clear there that I don't disagree, I disagree.
Okay, well, that happens. But,
What happens if we don't reverse the nuisance? Is anything else
He's
more
taking care of it, right, so far?
Yeah, it's
It's
done.
taken care of.
I mean, anything more we have to do?
The
Yeah.
city has the authority to go in and mow it without a notice.
So Tom, a question from here on out, I've just seen reference to where shortly after Memorial Day you mow. Okay, so what about in August? I mean, do you keep this mowed, you just bale it one time?
That's what we've done in the past, and we've mowed it after that first mowing.
Okay.
So you'll mow it from now on out, is what you're saying?
That's-
That's what you've done in the past.
Okay.
That's what you've done in the
But
past.
again, the
Yeah.
city staff is asking you to find that a violation did exist.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what, asking that it did exist and has been corrected.
right, acknowledging that the nuisance been corrected.
Yeah.
So,
So that's what staff is asking council to do.
And to clarify on the notices, so that's per mowing season, so for the rest of this year, if we would get over 8 inches, the notice would allow city staff to go in and address the issue. But, the following year, if this would happen again, there'd have to be another notice issued at that time.
We're gonna be disappointed if we find there was a nuisance. I would have thought that we would have had the courtesy of a phone call and said what's going on there, rather than getting served and have to explain it and so on and so forth. But, so I've kind of spoke my piece. If we aren't entitled to a phone call, I guess we'll have to accept that.
I don't know what to tell you, Tom, for sure. I mean, it meets our nuisance law, and we do have to back that up a little bit. And I think now that we know your situation, maybe what you're planning, maybe we can talk about, I mean, somebody might, but 22 inches instead of 12 seems that's, if I'd been 10 or 12, maybe a call, but 22 at a point.
The short of it is, it's kind of hard to get someone to bail it.
Well, I might be, but
Yeah.
22, I mean, that's the only thing, it was really tall at that point. So,
And I can appreciate that you want a phone call, Tom.
Yeah.
Everybody does. If you're gonna get a mean letter from a landlord or whoever, you want a phone call to talk about it first. But if our process is to send a letter out, I think our community needs to know, you're getting a letter because of a reason. Call us, let's talk about it, let's chat about it. The city staff, I would expect, can't babysit and send a phone call out for everybody all the time, so.
Well, I think it would have taken a lot less time to go out and measure it. I say
Appreciate
that.
You measured it, right?
Yeah. Appreciate your thought.
The measurement is just for proof that
Yeah.
it was that
Addressed it.
long. We don't go out and start measuring people's yards to see if they're over 8 inches. Usually at 8 inches, you can tell. And that's the point that triggers DeVere to go out, and he takes the tape measure with the picture for the city's proof.
okay, we have a recommended action plan here.
I guess I'll make a motion that we confirm the nuisance violation occurred and that the corrective action has been completed. I mean, I assume that's kind of what we're going for, that it's,
No nuisance currently exists anymore.
no nuisance currently exists, correct, so that'd be my motion, that it's confirmed and corrected.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Rodney and a second from Harley. Is there any further discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Good evening, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll move into agenda item number 14. This is an ordinance regarding amending Algona zoning map.
This is in reference to the public hearing we had earlier regarding the proposed request to rezone those 5 properties subject to the public hearing from from light manufacturing to highway service business district. The reason for prompting the ordinance change is with the development out there, the new auto dealership, they would like to place their signage along the front property line. Light manufacturing, the zoning ordinance requires a setback for the signs, so it would have to be minimum 20 feet off the line, whereas highway service does not. So this will allow the signs to be placed, in line with other, how Pharmacist is, how Dollar General is, kind of that same in relationship to the property. And kind of just given the development of the project and the time-sensitive nature, we're recommending that all 3 readings be approved tonight so that the project can proceed. And the highway service business district is obviously consistent with what the planned use is of that district along the highway.
And additionally, AMU is currently in the process of burying all the electrical cables along that, or electrical lines along that area, so it won't be extremely cluttered with his signs being out there and light poles and such.
Move to waive the first reading.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, second from Rodney to waive that first reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Move to approve first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the first reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to waive second and third readings. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
You had that proud, you had a proud look in his eye.
You're gonna have to save that flow chart for the rest of us.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion again from Mike and a second again from Rodney to waive the second and the third readings. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike and second from Rodney to adopt. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Very good, thank you. Agenda item number 15 is a resolution regarding CDBG housing application.
Merle, do you have more you want to say, or do you want us to take
I
this?
promise I have nothing to add.
This resolution approves the application to IDA for the CDBG Exterior Home Improvement Program, identifying the grant amount and what it will be used for. Also approves the temporary relocation policy and administrative plan, approves the community development housing needs assessment, which we had a public hearing on earlier, expresses the city's willingness to comply with the grant program requirements, and authorizes the mayor to sign any and all documents related to the application environmental process.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, a second from Tyler. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 16 is a resolution approving technical services.
Back in May, I sent out proposals for technical services for the CDBG grant. We had to send out at least 3. I sent one to NICOG, one to Submarine Corey, and one to, I can't remember who the third one is, I've got it in the file. We got one response, which was NICOG, which is not unusual. Normally, the ones writing the grant are the ones that get the technical assistance, so nobody else usually sends in a proposal. So this resolution will approve NIACOG to do the technical services for the CDBG grant.
Move to approve.
So this will only be if it's awarded, and those funds would come from the grant, so it's no additional cost.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion from Harley, second from Jody. Any discussion?
Just to make sure that does say contingent on award in the resolution, right?
I know it says it in the proposal.
I don't see it in there.
Do we have a motion?
Is it in the agreement?
It is stated in the proposal.
that was sent out.
Proposal, okay.
I didn't help you.
Because you definitely want to do that contingent on the award.
Do we just want
Because
to
the environmental
add,
statement.
withdraw the motion, do an amendment to the resolution, where,
Well, yeah, just withdraw that motion and then do a new motion to approve the resolution with the additional language added.
There you go.
Okay,
Well, I'll
so
just
let's do it that way.
amend the resolution, amend the motion to contain the added language.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes, so let's just, just withdraw the last, I don't know who made it, but if
Okay.
whoever would make
Yeah.
it.
It's Harley.
Okay.
I'll
did.
second
Okay.
that.
Okay,
Okay, I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay,
and the second
And then-
withdrawing your second?
I'll second the withdrawal.
Okay.
Okay, so make a new motion
Yeah.
containing the additional language that if the award is approved. Condition on it being approved.
Condition on the award being, yeah. Approved, yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Harley, a second from Jody. Any further discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Yes.
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 Motion carried.
Thank you, Burl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Merle.
Number 17 is a resolution concerning the 2020 sanitary sewer improvements.
This was the heavy cleaning and lining project that was started this last winter and finished up here just a few weeks ago, performed by HydroClean. Kevin, or you want to speak on this one at all since you're here, or on the project?
Okay, sure.
Since we got you.
Yeah. Just identify yourself again.
Yep, Kevin Graves with WHKS Engineers. Been working with the city on the sanitary sewer project. HydroClean, the contractor for this project, had a couple different tasks. One was sewer lining, a couple priority areas, one under Highway 169, and then also heavy cleaning of your interceptor sewer lines. This was an item that was not done during the $2 million SRF project from a few years back, but identified as a need. So that was kind of the next logical step for you to take in taking care of the sewer lines and making sure you have adequate capacity in those lines. The debris that was in there was kind of robbing you of your sewer capacity and potentially creating capacity issues during those larger rain events. So that work was done. I won't go into the specifics other than to say HydroClean was able to get more of the lines heavy cleaned than we had originally anticipated, and we were also roughly I think it was around $12,000 under budget from what the numbers came in on bid day. So we were pleased with how the project ended up.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, a second from Rodney. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 18 is a resolution pertaining to the 2021 sanitary sewer rate study.
This is a resolution approving the proposed sanitary sewer rate study agreement from WHKS. The estimated fee is $12,000. It will be billed on an hourly basis.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, a second from Rodney. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 19 is a resolution dealing with storm sewer easement.
Some time ago, there was a storm sewer built kind of along Snap-on and Crimmins or White Transfer, close to where Snap-on Drive will be. We could not find a clear record of a easement of that being deeded over to the city. It drains several properties. It functions as a public drainage system. So this just formally approves an easement granting the city access and our right to maintain it there. It's just a crossover sliver of the property there on the northeast side of White Transfer, and then we're also in the process of trying to obtain a easement from Snap-on as well, as the new industrial park part of the drainage will go into this line before it goes to the Bull Ditch.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mike, second from Jody. Any discussion?
Now, this goes to the Bull Ditch now? I guess I'm a little confused exactly what's
Yeah.
going where here. Does it go straight south to the Bull Ditch already, or?
Yes.
Yep,
thought
it
it
goes
did.
south through the Fratco property.
Okay. And there's an easement there already, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
So, actually, no, I take that back. That's a different one. It comes down here and then comes back into our property, and the goes underneath the railroad right here.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler.
Yes.
Jody.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 20 is a resolution acknowledging repayment of the revolving loan fund.
Alyssa June Portraits had borrowed $10,000 from the revolving loan fund in 2016. That loan has since been paid off, and so this resolution acknowledges that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Mike. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler.
Yes.
Jody.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you, Alyssa, for that repayment, and we wish you continued success. In the amended agenda, item number 21 is deleted. So we'll move to agenda item number 22. This is a resolution concerning the wages of city employees.
Sets the hourly and salary rates for city employees for fiscal year FY '22.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Let's just read quick.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler.
Yes.
Jody.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 23 is a resolution approving transfer of funds.
Deb, you want?
Oh, sure. This is just doing our year-end transfers of funds. We've got the debt payment for the sewer truck that was made in June. I can't see that. What else do I, yeah.
Sick leave,
The
housing and
sick leave conversion.
housing and retail loan, and TV grant.
Yeah, these are year-end transfers from the funds, the general funds, to a general fund, like the sick leave conversion to the general fund, and the TV grant, keeping those funds in check.
Okay.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mike, second from Jody. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler.
Yes.
Jody.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 24 involves a pay application.
This is the first pay application for the Riverview Cemetery Shed addition from Holland Contracting. The contract amount is $82,000. This pay application is for $65,000. I will note that we have $85,000 in next year's budget for this project, but that's because we had deferred this project when COVID impacts were still unknown. But we do have funds in the current year budget for this, so we're proposing to use that 65 out of the current year, and then that will just provide us greater flexibility next year, or just that much below next year's budget.
Perfect. Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, a second from Tyler. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 25 was changed from a change order to an update on the North Main Street reconstruction project.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Matt Cole, Bolton Bank. We're asking to provide a construction update on the North Main Street job. Reading has currently completed all the sanitary sewer and water main construction along with services to the right-of-way line for each property that has services along Main Street. All the pavement removals have been completed, and they've started storm sewer construction starting in the south end of Linden Street. Storm sewer is estimated to take a couple weeks yet to get that completed before a grading crew comes in to start preparing the road for paving. They need to install under drains before they install the aggregate base to construct pavement on. Thinking mid-July is a rough schedule for the paving contractor to come in and start work on the North Main Street. They will be working in conjunction with Moore Street as well. They're going to do Moore Street and Snap-on Drive following the Main Street construction, with Moore being the priority first. Are there any questions or?
What's all being done with the storm sewer?
On Main Street?
Yeah.
We're putting in new intakes connecting to the old storm sewer main. So the old storm pipe is in good condition. We're connecting new catch basins to the old outlet trunk line, because it is a large diameter pipe. So the pre-televising was done to determine that the pipe was still in usable condition, and we're just connecting new catch basins and manholes to that old line.
Okay, just something that crossed my mind, you know, as we talk about our I&I program, we're encouraging people to hook their houses up to the storm sewer as far as drainage. Is that being done at this point,
Yes.
or?
Yep, that's part of the subdrain construction. So once they get the road base to subgrade, it's the top of the dirt grade basically, they'll go in and install dual under drains. Is actually what we're going to put in on this project. It's a perforated pipe at the bottom of the trench, about 3.5 feet deep below the road. And then above that is going to be a solid wall sump pump collector line that runs into the storm sewer structures as well. That will have a stub out to every property along Main Street to connect existing sump pumps and or future sump pumps. We're going to sub them out past the sidewalk and just cap them if there's no existing sump pumps. So in the future, if anybody needs one, we can just hook that up without taking out any concrete.
Okay. Well, thank you for whoever arranged that, thought of it way before I did.
We also televised sump pump lines and footing drains out in that area to ensure they're not going into the sewer currently.
Okay.
And I'm happy to say in that 4 blocks, there were none when
Okay.
they televised them, so that was good news.
Great.
Yeah, the project is moving along on schedule as far as Reading's original schedule is concerned, so.
Okay, it's on schedule then, okay.
Yep, yeah, they have 80 working days for the DOT contract to get done, and they're well within their percentage completion to date versus their percentage of time used is adequate.
Good, okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 26. This involves setting a date and a time for a public hearing.
This is regarding the proposed vacation of the north portion of Elm Street east of Clark. Decided to refer to the Planning and Zoning Commission last council meeting, and P&Z met on June 14th and recommends going forward with the vacation, with the intent being that it would be turned into part of a park on the city-owned property just north of there. So this sets the hearing for July 19th at 5 p.m.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, a second from Rodney. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item 27 is setting a date and a time for fireworks.
My memo has some outdated information in it, so we did get confirmation from the vendor that we'll be able to have them on Saturday, July 4th, or Sunday, July 4th. And it's proposed that they start at dusk.
So we're doing them on the 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
On the 4th.
Is there anything else going to be happening at the racetrack that evening, or
Nope,
are we free and clear?
free and clear.
I think so.
Good.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, second from Rodney. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Number 28 is set in the time for the first council meeting in July.
The next council meeting in July is scheduled to otherwise fall on Monday, July 5th. 4th of July is a city recognized holiday, so we'll close offices. Since it's on the weekend, we're planning on that Monday, the 5th, so we would then propose moving the council meeting to that Tuesday.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Tyler to move the council meeting. Any discussion?
I may not be here, but I think you'll have a quorum still, I'm sure. I may be gone that day.
Yep.
Well, okay. Let's vote on that, Deb.
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 29 involves the appointment of an interim police chief.
Kevin Powell's last day with the city will be June 30th. An interim police chief needs to be appointed until a permanent one is hired. Mayor can elaborate on the conversations we've had.
Yes, and Jacob and I have visited, and we've visited with Bo Miller, who's currently the assistant chief, and Bo said if agreed by the council and appointed, he would be happy to serve as that interim police chief.
I would move to approve.
I'll second.
Oh,
Excuse
One
me.
item on
Okay.
that is if we want to increase the wage from his current assistant chief salary. Currently, I think the salary resolution, it's at a little over 63, Kendall's at about 74. So if we want to go at like $70,000 or whatever number council feels is appropriate, just to be paid in the interim for the hourly rate.
I would approve him at $70,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Mike, second from Jody. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Congratulations, Bo. We look forward to working with you. Appreciate you being here tonight also. Wanted to say that. So item number 30 is the final notification and appointment for the Airport Zoning Commission. Nick Deers was a member of that commission, but was recently hired as our recreation manager, so we need to appoint a commission member.
I don't have any
Okay.
suggestions yet.
All right. So number 31 this is a second notification of a future appointment for the AMU Board of Trustees. This is a mayoral appointment. Jay Giving's term expired May 31st of this year. And I have been in conversation with John Bilstein about that appointment. So
Who do you intend to appoint?
we don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We don't, right.
All right.
I've just been in conversation with him about that,
Okay,
yes.
sorry, Mayor, I didn't
Yeah.
know if you had somebody that you could name you could give
Right.
us at this point or not?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, I should have been more clear, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's
that was
okay.
my fault.
That's okay, we're good.
Okay.
So number 32 also is a notification of term expiring and a future appointment for the Airport Board of Adjustment. Moni Westling's appointed term expires August the 1st. And this is a council appointment to serve a 5-year term. So this is just a notification there. Agenda item number 33 is also a notification of a vacancy and future appointment to the Cemetery Board due to the recent death of Midge Andreessen. Her term expires the 31st of March of 2026. So we just need to keep that in mind about a future appointment for the Cemetery Board as well. Number 34 is a notification, resignation and future appointment of another AMU Board of Trustee member, and this is Dave Gowitzer, and due to his recent job commitments, he has decided to resign. His term expires May the 31st of 2024. Again, that's a mayoral appointment, so John Bilstein and I have been in conversation about a future appointment there. And number 35, this is to acknowledge the resignation of Mike Saban and initiate proceedings to appoint the city council vacancy. And with Mike's permission, I would like to read his letter.
Go for it.
That he submitted on the 18th of May. Mike said, I would like to formally announce my resignation from the position of council at large. Please consider this resignation effective Monday, July 12th. My family and I have sold our home here in Algona and will be moving just outside of the city limits. Therefore, removing me from this position when this move occurs in mid-July. It has been the utmost pleasure to serve with all of you on the Algona City Council over the last few years. In my opinion, we have made some great changes within the city, and I have nothing but confidence that you will continue in the right direction. From the work on vacant housing, a head-on attack of street improvements, to the overall employee structures and positional duties. I feel this is something I can most defiantly be proud of, and I'm very glad I took the opportunity to serve this community for the last few years. I look forward to staying involved in the community and will hopefully work with all of you again in some regard to community betterment. Thank you for your continued support to this community, and I wish you all the best in the future. Sincerely, Michael Saban. So Mike, thank you, I think. But I do appreciate you being on the council, and I've always appreciated your thoughts and your input and your ideas, and you'll be missed.
Oh, it's been enjoyable. Like I said, it was just an opportunity that came up for the family that we couldn't pass up. So.
Yeah, understand, yeah.
We need a motion.
Oh, to accept that resignation?
To accept and to fill the vacancy by appointment.
Okay.
So if we don't, it just dies for.
Okay.
My seat is up in November on the general election ballot anyways, and just given our proximity to that, it makes sense to do an appointment. So we'll have 60 days from July 12th to make that appointment. So that would mean that it could take place at council meeting on either August 2nd, August 16th, or September 6th. July 5th will be Mike's last council meeting. So we'll have, at least one in there. We'll have a vacant seat. So the question really comes down to the timeline for persons interested in submitting their name to be considered for appointment. As the notice is currently drafted, it will be published July 1, requesting persons to submit their name by July 28th, with the appointment being made on August 2nd. But if we want to have more time to identify candidates for appointment, we can certainly move that timeline back and look to appoint on either August 16th or September 6th.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask a question. How many board members, how many city council members are required by city code or Is there a number? Six.
Six, yes.
At all times?
6
Okay.
council members, yes.
You
Okay.
can have a vacant seat,
Right.
but you have to factor that into your, so.
Yep. Okay, I was just curious. It'd be hard. Go ahead, Rodney.
No, I was just saying, it just kind of seems like the time frame we've done with a few here in the recent past. So I'd make a motion, we approve the resignation and move forward with the timeline to fill the vacancy.
By appointment, right?
By appointment, thank you.
There you go. Yeah, that's the key. Is we
Yep,
just
thank
wanna
you.
do it by appointment,
By appointment.
not have a, yeah, by appointment.
Right.
Very good.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Harley. Any discussion? Hearing none, vote please, Deb.
Tyler?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Abstain.
Rodney?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Well, that brings us to adjournment, but before that, I would just like to say if there's anyone out there watching, listening, who would like to serve on the airport board, or the commission, the AMU board, the cemetery board, or city council, we would entertain some discussion with you, and so please call City Hall or contact me, and we'll be happy to visit with you. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting.
So moved.
It is 6:45.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.